What's up YouTube? Danny Hype here with another Dragon Ball Super video. Today's video is a deck profile. Before we get into the deck profile real quick, I just want to do a quick shout out to my sponsors at Super Collectibles, MetaMat, and Ultimate Guard. They do a lot for me, so if you guys could check them out, it'd be much appreciated. But for now, let's get into the deck. So for the most part, I don't really play androids. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I don't play androids. This deck was actually a deck that one of my teammates gave me. John Tatta, he's the one that actually came second at North Carolina Regionals. I don't really play androids, however, I do feel like if you want to be good at this game, you should try to play every deck, you know, kind of get an understanding of their lines of play through their eyes, you know, like, it's one thing to play against the matchup a lot, it's another thing to actually play the deck yourself and kind of understand what they can and can't do when they're most vulnerable, and small things like that. So I got the deck list off John, I built it myself, I took it to my locals, and I ended up going 3-0 with it. And I realized it's kind of pretty nutty, you know, it's really hard to work around, and I do think it's going to be a competitive deck. I'm going to give you guys more competitive decks, like the last one was a Hercule one. My next few deck profiles are going to be of decks that are, I think we'll be seeing in the competitive scene. Maybe not I'll be playing it, but you'll definitely be seeing and need to prepare for. Also, for any new people that kind of just want to start out the game and, you know, you want to play androids, this is definitely a great base to start your deck off. Is it the best version of androids? Maybe, maybe not, but it's a good starting point, and then you guys can obviously build and change things as you go. But let's get into it. So now the two black cards we run, we have Mira and Masan. So Mira is just, I think it's one of my favorite cards. I love hand destruction, as you know with my other decks. I love playing hand destruction type decks. This is a free overwhelm, well sorry, 3 overwhelm, but you don't have to pay anything, and they can discard a card. Now, playing Mira after you cell chain them to 3 is pretty devastating. So you play your cell chain, you drop them to 3 cards, then you play a Mira, drop them to 2 cards, and it's like, how do they come back from that? Now, the reason I chose my other black card is Evil Masan, because you do awaken at 6, it is pretty easy. You know, if you need to awaken, if you want to awaken, he's just another option. You know, overall 4, pay 1, you take a life, and you can kill something on the board, which this deck kind of has trouble with. The removal outside of the cell chain going to the 5-drop, you can't really remove things. This is definitely another way to remove things off the board and help yourself awaken. We got your standard Dr. Giro, the 1-drop and 2-drop. I like them both. You know, he looks at top 3 and you pull an android. Basically pull every card in your deck outside of, you just can't pull him, basically. You can't pull him or this Khalifa and Masan, but basically it's really hard to whiff this. There's actually a few times where I would see, you know, like my next card would be one of these cell pieces, which you obviously don't want in your hand. So it was actually really effective to, you know, shuffle it back into my deck and it not be the next card I draw, because that's like the worst part of playing cell, is if you draw into your cell combo, like the 5 and 7-drop, it's pretty like the worst feeling. Now this one helps it so you can make your turn 3 if you want to cell chain pretty consistent. You really just hard mull for your 3-drop cell, because the rest of these androids will just fall into place, and if they don't, he can just search them out, and then if you already have your pieces, he can search your super combo, which makes his deck even more insane. So now going to the next part of the super combo, let's imagine you are at 4 life, you cell chain them to 3, you mirror them to 2, then you attack with your leader and, you know, play 1 or 2 super combos, and they just drop 2 more cards. It's lights out. It's pretty devastating. You basically win the games off this. This card is the nuts. I love, like, as much as I love drawing a card off my super combos, making your opponents discard cards, this is like the super combo for me. As much as I love hand destruction, this is like the card for me. The next one is Khalifa. Now, I know people may run Tien, because Tien's an easy way to get something on the board, you know, take your life and awaken. You know, Tien does crit yourself 1. Rather have a Khalifa or this. I felt like when I was playing, awakening wasn't a super priority to me, but if I ever did, Khalifa and Masan were definitely easy enough. Plus, it's a cheap 20k body, and it helps you awaken. That's why I chose the Khalifa. Now, we have your cell, obviously your cell pieces here. Those are pretty much mandatory. Now for the android discussion. So now I went with 17. I went 4 of the crit, and then, you know, 2 and 2. The reason I chose Chilling Terror is still really good against some decks that obviously draw 2 on awaken. It can be pretty devastating. You can get to that point. And then I chose the big one here because if you're going in a mirror match or in stuff like that, he can help bring you back into the game. Or if you're against any kind of hand destruction, he can help you bring back into the game. But for the girls, I didn't choose the big girl because I felt like it was kind of overkill, the whole make them discard another card at that point. Because if you're playing those cards, you're pretty much ending the game on them. So playing these people are these 2-drops are just as effective as ending the game. Most of the time, I would play her to restand him, or or restand him or something like that, right? So it's like you didn't really need the big drop, and you don't really need the restand or restand these ones because they're kind of whatever. But that's basically it, you guys. This is a pretty standard Android list. If you want a deck, just a standard Android deck to test out and play, this is definitely a basic one, good one for you guys to get the grasp of this deck and maybe figure out how to beat it. Hope you enjoyed.